So we're ready? The new M4. That's what we're talking about today.
Yep.
Finally. Let's get started. What's up, everybody? Justin with Utah Airguns. And as you can see, we've got something new. It's been very anticipated. There's been rumors of it happening for the last year and a half maybe, but turns out the rumors are true. This is the Impact M4. As you can see, there's some changes, and we're going to talk about those changes here a little bit. Before we get too far into what's new, what's the new Impact and what makes the M4 special, let's talk about a little bit like why this gun was ever invented and what it was intended for. Years ago, Frederick Axelson made some drawings. He said he made like 9 guns in a matter of 2 days. He just went mad scientist, started drawing up designs, and this was one of them. Well, the way he had it drawn up, he didn't like the looks. He thought it was quite ugly. And so he kind of stuck that to the side for a minute, worked on some other projects, and he happened to walk by his son Johan's office, and Johan had taken this gun and added his own little tweaks and touches to it the way he'd like it to look, and that's where it got the look it has today. They really like that look, and at the time there wasn't a lot of tactical looking air guns that were also functional to be a tactical use air gun. So they created this gun. It was the first of its kind, being a switch caliber, being able to switch from 177 to 30 cal at the time when it was first invented. Now it's offered in 35 cal as well. This gun was meant to be a very universal do-all, meaning you could add barrel length, you could add caliber sizes, you could change whatever you wanted, and everything was adjustable externally to make it easy for the end user to be able to swap calibers, adjust power levels, to be a backyard gun, to be a good precision rifle, to be a hunting rifle. It didn't matter. You could configure it to do whatever you would like. At the time it was invented, it wasn't really thought out to be a slug shooter. That came later as slugs evolved, but it happened to be the perfect platform because as they evolved the impacts, they evolved them into a much more efficient, quiet, and also high power. So it could sling slugs out there with plenty of power and still be efficient on air, and you still had all the great options. I mean, one reason people gravitate towards an Impact is because of its magazine size, for one. It's got, the biggest magazine on the market. It's located in the rear, so it's a very unique design. That way it doesn't control your scope height or anything else. This gun was very well thought out when they designed it. And one thing to note, and maybe you don't know this about the Impact, but it has a very unique valve system in it. That being, when a hammer hits the valve, it doesn't push a valve open, it pulls a valve open. So it's almost like a plunger system pulling it open. And then they've put this nice little knob on here. That was absolutely genius for building this air gun, because this made this gun extremely fine tunable. Having this valve tension adjustment, not only are you pulling the valve open, but you're being able to precision control how long that valve is open and how fast it would shut. There was nothing like that out there, and that was an absolutely brilliant addition to this gun. So that's some of the things that made it special, were its ability to be any length, shape, size, big bottles, small bottles. At the time, you had quad rails that you just didn't see on air guns back then, for obvious uses of flashlights and lasers, and you've got mountable chronographs, and you've got different levels. You've got all kinds of stuff that you can bolt to guns these days. Well, they've still stuck to all of that. It's been an absolute winner for years now, and that's the reason you see a new Impact come out every once in a while. Is they've seen the evolution in the products. They've seen what the shooters have wanted. Hey, what would we like to tweak about this gun? And then they go and implement that. And here we are with the newest technology, the newest version, and it is incredible. This year, you're going to see some different colors that you've never seen offered before on an impact stock from the factory. As you can see, we've got this cool copper color. One thing to notice too is they've given this a custom facelift. I think they saw those good old Utah Airguns customs and said, you know what, those look pretty cool. We need to make them look more like that. That's my guess. But what we've done, we've got new colors, and as you can see, the top rails, even the breech block, the side panels, they're all matching colors, so it's as if it was already custom colored for you. Extremely good looking. They've done a good job with lasering new graphics on them, just to really hammer home that this is a new and improved impact. Also, as you can see, the top rail, it looks different. Why? Because it is different. This is a new top rail system. They've reinforced this entire back piece to be a little bit more rigid. This is a dovetail where this rides, so you can actually adjust this as well. Also, you can take your side rails off. If you just want them deleted, you can take them off if you want to strip a little bit of weight off the gun. You can also, where it's on a dovetail, you can flip this around, run a cantilever to the back. So all those times when you've had night vision or thermal, it's been really hard to get an eye relief close enough to your eye with these type of guns. Well, here's your answer. It's a perfect solution. No custom mounts, no weird cantilever systems. Switch it around, boom, you're done. So very well thought out. This thing is an improvement on what we've had in the past. A big reason they did this whole design was if you ever took apart an impact and you remounted your scope rail and you mounted your scope and you possibly got on target and your windage was way off, well, it's because there was some play in the alignment issues with those 3 screws that were on the old models. Well, they wanted to eliminate that, make it a lot more user-friendly to be able to remount a scope rail and have it be perfect every time. So that's what they've done here. It's made it so it's much, much easier to align perfectly each time you take it apart or put it back together if you choose to do so. They've also simplified this gun a little bit, which I'm a huge fan of. If you notice something missing here, there is no more first stage regulator. Why? Because the shooters didn't love it. They didn't feel like it was needed, and they tested this without, and with the materials they're using and everything for the new regulators that they're able to provide these days, they don't need a secondary regulator to control that. So they've deleted it, made that a more simple gun. I'm a huge fan of that. I love that change. But also, there was talk about the trigger. Why can't the trigger be adjusted so light and perfect, but not have problems lasting a long time? If you had it adjusted down to, 6 ounces, it was a problem because it would eventually wear out too easy if you had a very, very light trigger adjustment on the old impacts. Well, they went through and they've redesigned. Now this trigger system that's in the new M4 is the best trigger I've ever seen, and it's got more fine adjustments. It's got more travel options as far as we can adjust the length of pull on the actual trigger itself. We can adjust your second stage creep. You can adjust the tension of the second stage creep. You can adjust the angle of how that trigger sits on the first break. On your second stage, how tight the resistance is on the brakes. Meaning, do you want an ultra light touch for a match grade trigger? You've got it. If you want a medium one you still like a really light trigger, but you're going to be shooting different styles and you'd like to have a little bit more trigger tension, great. Do you want it a little bit heavier like your hunting rifles that you use? Perfect. You can adjust that as well. You've got all those and they're individual settings, so it's not trying to make this magic configuration of one setting on a trigger. So it's a beautiful design. It is a little complex, and you will want to read and maybe watch some of the videos that are going to come out on how to adjust that trigger, but what a thing of beauty. All right, so I've got this digital scale. I'm going to test the trigger real quick for you live. This is right out of the box. This is bone stock. I haven't touched this trigger at all. Let's see what you get right out of the box. I think you're going to be impressed. So obviously the gun we've checked, it's unloaded, we've dry fired it. Let's see what we've got. It's on 0 now. Let's check it. First bowl, 5.1 ounces. Okay, let's try one more just to check it. 6.4. Dude, half-pound trigger, bone stock. Like, not even. So, as you can see, they have put some work into that trigger system and made it absolutely incredible. I mean, you're getting a half a pound or under right out of the box. You don't have to adjust anything. If you'd like it to be a little heavier, if you want a little more first stage travel, whatever, all of that is adjustable now, including, again, the length of pull. So you can actually adjust where the trigger sits in here. So if you like to be able to reach a little bit further on your trigger, no problem. It's all there and it's all adjustable for you. Some of the other changes they've done as they've listened to people, what do we want the new impact to have? They've also increased plenum size just a touch. It went from 72cc to 75cc, so a little bit bigger plenum. You're gonna get a little bit smoother power with that bigger plenum as well. Also, the grip, they've changed the grip. The grip before was often switched out. People liked having a little bit wider grip. Well, they listened to that, they put a new grip on it. So this new grip is wider, it's got a nice palm swell, quite a bit nicer grip. And also, one complaint was how hard it was to line up your probe adjustment or to be able to remove and swap your pellet probes because you had to time it between slots. Now they've opened that up so that it's easy to access anywhere. That's no longer a problem. Another point that people wanted to see different was the barrel clamp here. This block that secured the barrel, well, it had the tension screws. Now they've done away with that, created a new barrel block there, so it's always perfect. You don't need to worry about tension screws and being the right tension all the time. One thing they added as well is a bolt retention. So you saw this, Air Marksman did a bolt retention in their rail. That was a great feature because when you're competing and everything, you don't want this bolt to fall forward and you miss a shot on target because you had a double feeder, you had to remove that magazine. So that is a great feature to have. They've also opened up the bottom trigger frame a little bit so that you can fully adjust your regulator or all your trigger settings without having to remove that or have to have awkward ball head Allen wrenches. They've just made things more refined, a better product, and more user-friendly. So those are some really cool little changes they've made. And also, just again, if you see, they've really cleaned up things, made the knobs a lot nicer. They've knurled them and kind of put an angle on them so they're not a hard edge. Just well thought out, everything that they improved in here. So you've got better power, you've got way better triggers, you've got new colors, better rail system. You've got a new one-piece moderator that is insanely quiet right out of the box. Also, they've improved the magazine. Let me set this down here. They've improved the magazine, not only the magazine design, but the material. It's a better material, smoother, and as you can see, they've made some detents, so it's a lot easier to hold when you wind that magazine. They've also troughed this out, so now you can shoot those 40 grain slugs without hanging up like you did before. So another thing about the magazine that you can see, if you remember the other magazines, they're very hard to see what caliber you were looking at, which magazines. These are a lot easier to see that way, and they've also even marked it on the lens. So no longer trying to get the right glare to figure out what caliber magazine you have. It's clearly marked now, much better material, a little bit lighter weight even. It's a great improvement. So as you can see, FX has listened to you guys. They've listened to the shooters. They've listened to the pros. They've listened to everybody give their feedback. Hey, what would make this gun better? They've implemented that and made the best impact yet in the M4. You've seen the new copper color. This is the gun in black. It will be available in both colors right off the bat. You could get the copper or the black. That'll be the two colors that will launch with this new platform. Calibers and barrel lengths. Nothing's changed there. You'll still be able to get the 700 millimeter with the 580cc bottle, the standard, which is the 600 millimeter with the 480cc bottle, or the compact. You got your 500 millimeter barrel with a 300cc bottle. So everything you loved about the FX Impact has just gotten a bit better. why the M4 is going to give you 5 stars. You've got accuracy, you've got quiet, you've got power, you've got the best triggers on the market, and you've got the best efficiency on the market. So we're going to go have a 5-star experience now. We've got all kinds of stuff planned for this guy, including Prairie Dog Palooza that's coming up that I can't wait to go set a new record, maybe a distance record with the new M4. I'm super pumped to get this out in the field, put it through the ranks, but I can tell you this is still the most modular, the most dynamic, the most universally used airgun on the planet. And you've got more now.